I loved reading Zig Ziglar's Secrets to Closing the Sale. I
Mm,
read Tom Hopkins' book on selling,
hmm
but sales is something you do for someone, not to them. And I think when you make that pivot in your mindset, it changes a lot. You're doing something for someone, not to them. And nowadays, when I talk to people about the thing that I'm doing and we get toward the end, I'll ask them straight up, is this something you feel comfortable doing yourself, or is this something you would like my help with? And if they say this is something I want your help with, the sale is done. Because now
Ooh,
they've told me they want to hire me.
okay.
I think you have to learn to be unreasonable.
Mm,
And what I mean by that is a lot of people who are not in the entrepreneurial space, they do what's safe and they think that taking a risk is unreasonable.
hmm
They think that taking a chance where you might lose all your money is unreasonable. But at the same time, if it does work, high risk, high reward.
Whew.
You have to be okay with taking a risk. You have to be okay with things not always working out exactly the way you think they're
Yeah.
going to. In fact, it very often won't. But sometimes it works out even better. In fact, uh, one of the things that I learned this morning as I was listening to Think and Grow Rich is
hmm
sometimes you're going to hear no many, many, many times until you hear the yes that will change your life.
What was one moment in your life that made you realize that the system wasn't built to actually make you free?
I think when I realized that an employer will pay you just enough to keep you there,
hmm
but not necessarily enough that you don't depend on them. The system is kind of rigged that way. The school system is rigged to create workers. It's not created necessarily to create independent thinkers.
hmm
Because if you think too independently, then you'll criticize the system and do something to overthrow it. I think we do live in the matrix in a way.
Hey yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Brainwashed To Be Broke series. Today's guest is someone who's built his life around helping others share their message, own their story, and monetize their expertise. He's a writing coach, radio show host, and magazine publisher, and the best-selling author of Success Profiles, where he's interviewed legends like Kevin Harrington and more. He's been featured in Entrepreneur, Authority Magazine, and countless podcasts, and today he's here to help us all think bigger about what's possible. Pumped to have him here. Welcome to the show, Brian K. Wright. What's up, brother?
Hey, thank you, Adam. I appreciate being here, and we're gonna have some fun today.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. We met already before, a while ago, and now we are back here talking about some cool stuff. Super excited to have you here. And before we jump into some questions, I would love to hear, and all the listeners would love to hear, where you coming from. I mean, business wise, where was the breaking moment for you when you really realized that um, you are going to go all in to entrepreneurship?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I spent a lot of my life working for other people, and there's nothing really wrong with that. But if you feel like you've hit your ceiling of what you can do working for someone else's dream, then it's time to seriously think about doing something to create and build your own dream. And there were several times where I started my own business or started doing something and then ultimately ended up going back to working for someone else and was miserable. I was making money, but it wasn't enough, not enough money, and it wasn't enough to fulfill my dream. And I got tired of just getting by. And the last job that I had was outbound calling for a real estate agent when I lived in Arizona, and he and I are still good friends today. But I started by calling his client list before Christmas and getting donations for toys for tots. And
Mhm.
the calls that I was making ended up filling four giant boxes. And he said, "This is the most toys we've ever had before Christmas. You did great." And I said, "Good, thank you."
Mhm.
And then I started calling his prospects and trying to line up, are you trying to sell your house? Are you trying to buy a house? And for those who lived near an upcoming open house, I tried to coax people into attending to give my agent more people to talk to buy or sell a house. And I did pretty well at that, but he realized after a while that I was really more interested in building my own thing. The entrepreneur spirit in him saw my entrepreneurial spirit. And so I got let go. And because he wanted to maintain their friendship, he wasn't the one who let me go. He made someone else do it for him,
Mm,
which was okay. I was planning on leaving some time anyway, but if he didn't kick me out of the nest, I would have waited much, much longer. And so sometimes you just need that loving push out of the nest. And at first I thought, well, I'm free. But then Monday came around and I realized I had nowhere to go. I was so used to having a routine.
mhm,
That's when it finally hit me was the following Monday because this happened on a Friday afternoon.
right.
But I figured it out. I was starting to help people write their books and I had a client or two. I wasn't charging nearly what I charge now, so I was charging very much beginner rates and it wasn't enough, but it was enough for me to realize I can make this dream come true.
Mhm,
And I've been doing it now full time since about 2016, 17-ish. And so I do that and I host a radio show which I've been doing since 2012 every week. In fact, I do it every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And I also publish Ultimate Achievers magazine. So I synergize all of those to create what I'm doing. And so it's really a good idea that if you're going to do more than one thing, that you synergize all of those things. Because if you're doing this, and that, and none of them intersect, people get confused. A confused buyer will never buy from you. They begin to wonder, okay, so what do you really do?
mm,
So the things that you're doing need to synergize somehow. And so
mhm,
that's what I've done, and that's what I'm creating. And I'm looking forward to building it out even further in the near future.
That's amazing. An amazing story and so powerful journey that you've been through. But before all that,
Mhm.
let's go even more into the beginning, like how your childhood looked like. How did you been raised? And have you been always in this type of mindset of entrepreneurship and so on, like being creative, being more like free junkie and so on?
A little bit. I mean, my
Mm,
dad had a really good job here in my small town. It's very much a farming community. And my mom was the office manager at the high school I went to.
mhm, mhm,
My very early entrepreneurial steps involved having a lemonade stand in my front yard, uh, feeding the neighborhood lemonade, basically. And as I progressed into my adult life, I wrote resumes for people before the internet.
right.
So helping people to find work and helping people with interview coaching.
Mhm,
That was a long time ago, though. I
mhm,
don't do that anymore either. So, yeah, it's always been in me, but I didn't find the right thing to do it with. And
mhm,
sometimes that takes a while too. I mean,
mhm,
you'll start and fail or start and stop and learn
mhm,
many times before you find the thing. The first thing you do will probably not be your greatest hit.
mhm, no,
I
yeah.
mean, you take a look at, popular music artists, it took some of them quite a while to break. They had to perform in clubs, they had to perform other people's songs first
Yeah.
to get noticed. And it took some of them quite a while to get a record deal. And
Mhm,
now with the internet, you can get discovered on YouTube like Justin Bieber did. He started that way instead of starting with a record deal. He got discovered online.
mhm,
And now with talent shows, sometimes you get discovered on American Idol or X Factor or whatever you're watching, Pop Idol in the UK. Is that still on?
I'm not really even sure. I
Okay.
know,
But
yeah,
The
yeah,
Voice is a
yeah,
very
oh yeah,
popular show
yeah, it's
now. So a
always on
lot
there.
of people try and get heard that way to get discovered. So you got to find the thing you're really passionate about. In fact, I'm listening to Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Mm,
And the chapter finished listening to today was about making a decision. You need to make a decision first before anything can happen because
so
luck
powerful.
doesn't just happen.
Right.
Luck favors someone who is prepared, who has made a decision, who has a major definite purpose, and then is persistent and
Mm,
courageous.
mhm,
Because
mm,
persistence plus courageous is an unbeatable combination.
mhm,
So it requires all of those things. But yeah, that was the early part of my journey. Uh, but I'm doing what I'm doing now, helping people write
mhm,
their books and publishing magazines for clients and for myself and building a media presence
mhm.
that I can help people be seen on.
What was one moment in your life that made you realize that the system wasn't built to actually make you free?
Mm. I think when I realized that an employer will pay you just enough to keep you there,
Mhm,
but not necessarily enough that you don't depend on them. The system
mhm,
is kind of rigged that way. The school system is rigged to create workers. It's not created necessarily to create independent thinkers.
Hmm.
Because if you think too independently, then you'll criticize the system and do something to overthrow it. I think we do live in the matrix in a way.
Yeah, yeah, so true. And how did you actually make you feel when you realized that?
I began to feel like there's got to be something more than this.
Mm,
There has to be something more. And so you start reading about entrepreneurs and studying successful people. And even when I started doing my radio show, I wanted to interview successful people partly because I wanted to share their journeys with my audience, but because I wanted to sit at their feet and learn what they did so that maybe I could apply some of those lessons for myself.
mhm, mm,
But you have to believe that it's possible for you first. I think a lot of people sit around and think, well, they can do it, but I can't. Well, why
mhm,
not? Why not you? Why are you limiting yourself?
mhm.
And I
So
had a
powerful.
friend of mine tell me, people plus money, you can do anything.
Mhm.
Those are the only two things that it really takes, people and money, to do anything you really, really want. And I thought that was a very simple breakdown of something very, very profound.
Totally. That's so
Mm-hmm.
powerful. Like money's everything around, like everything what we want to like build or anything what we need in our lives is pretty much everything is around money,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you are willing to do things and you have money, the money give you even more power to do more good if you're a good person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love this. Um, did that moment when you realize that change how you see the world or how you see yourself?
Yeah, because I realized that anything is possible. I mean, what
Mm,
I've built now, I probably couldn't have imagined 10 years ago. I was at the beginning of doing my radio show in 2012. I knew I wanted to use this to build my business somehow, but I didn't know what that looked like. But I stepped out and did it anyway.
mm.
I was told that I've always been told I've got a great voice for radio. And I've been inspired by people
You
who
do
have
actually.
interviewed the giants. Oh, thank you. I've been inspired by people who have interviewed the giants in business and elsewhere. And I thought, well, I can do that. I've gotten to be pretty good at interviewing people. People tell me that it's my superpower, and I believe it. But when you have all those lessons available to you, it starts the imagination
Mhm,
and your wheel starts spinning and you're hearing so many voices. You need to pick the one that resonates for you. You can't do it all. You can do anything you want, but you can't do everything you want at the same time.
mhm, mm. Yeah. And you know, when you've been a kid, what you've been actually studying, like what you would need to become, or what was the like how you should be seen in front of people that foreign parent taught you, what is the path to success actually?
Yeah. I always wanted to be a teacher, and I got to do
Ooh,
that for a while.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I always wanted to be a teacher. In fact, I went to college to learn how to be a teacher. I mean, I
Mhm,
changed my major, but I ended up wanting to be a high school teacher. Then I got to my final year and realized I have enough credits to graduate without going through all of that. And do I
mhm,
really, really want to babysit high schoolers? No, I don't. I wanted to teach college. And so I graduated after 4 years instead of five, went to graduate school, and ended up teaching in college for a while.
mhm,
So that's what I wanted to do. And that is still in me, even though I'm not in a
mhm,
classroom anymore.
mhm,
The teaching element is still in me. That's why I love doing my radio show. That's
mhm,
why I love coaching. I love sharing what I've learned with
mhm,
other people so that they can be in a better place when I'm done with them. You know, legacy is one of my core values. And for me, that means leave someone in a better place than you found them.
That's so powerful. I love this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, so much. This is just, it's just amazing. And you know, at this time, in this world that we are living in, it's so easy to get in front of the right people and, you know, and help so many others. And we have to realize that everything what we do and how we make money is not about obsessing about money, but it's about obsessing other people problems and how we want to help them to actually change their way of, you know, seeing things or doing things
Mm-hmm.
or how they should become or who they should become and this type of thing. So
Yeah.
it's so amazing that you mentioned that actually.
Yeah.
And so when you start actually like switching between business and corporate job, why did you always came back? What was the thing that actually make you move, like, you know, go back to job actually then instead of
I
just,
didn't I didn't believe in myself enough.
oh, okay.
And to start a business, you need capital. You need some capital.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have really any money to speak up to work
Mhm.
with. And so my goal was to go back and just earn enough money so that I could start. But again, you're on that little spinning wheel, the mouse
Mhm.
on the spinning wheel in the cage. You make just enough to pay your bills and get by, but not enough to really be able to save very much. And so
Mhm.
that's where I was. And I finally decided, you know what? This is going to continue for my whole life unless I just make the decision to stop. And in my case, that decision was made for me. But that final time, I made the decision to not go back to a job.
Yeah.
I forced myself to make it work.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. That was, I can see this completely like, for me, that moment that you described, it was when I moved to different country on my
Mm-hmm.
own, because I'm not originally living from UK. I'm originally from Czech Republic, small village in middle of Europe. Moved to England, couldn't speak English at
Mm-hmm.
all, just 6 years ago, or 5 or 6 years ago. And that was the breaking moment for me because I realized that even though I moved to the different country looking for like a better life, the better life wasn't to be employed. It was to become a different version of myself and being a start able like be able to help others, and that moment shift everything for me, and that was
Mm-hmm.
the breaking out moment that everything opened, and I
Yeah.
started seeing the whole different possibilities that I can what I can do, and started
Mm-hmm.
thinking in the box basically.
Yeah.
uh,
Tony Robbins says, when I should becomes I must, everything changes.
so powerful, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I saw also, a lot of people, especially at the beginning, where they are still not getting enough success to be like really committed into what they built, they are kind of lacking of the you know, the awareness of how how you should like they always have like a second or backup plan. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like when I jump into that, I have no backup plan, and that probably happened to you also, right? Because there
Yeah.
wasn't backup plan anymore.
Yeah.
It's just a one plan, just one way.
Yeah. Matt Higgins wrote a book called Burn the Ships where he talks all about that. He's been a guest shark on Shark Tank USA, and he's done a lot in the business world, but he wrote a book called Burn the Ships, and I
Mhm.
listened to it on Audible. And
Oh,
really,
that's
it's
good.
about being so committed
Yeah,
to what you're doing that you leave yourself no other option.
right. Yeah, so powerful, so powerful.
It is.
So, were you taught when you've been, even though like before you jump into entrepreneurship, have you been taught something about money and how money works and what actually success means? Or have you had to learn everything on your own?
I had to learn a lot of it on my own. Uh, I mean, my dad made pretty good money, but he put a lot of his money in a 401k, which did really well, and we got a house that got paid for well before 30 years. So that left a lot of money available to do other things later in my parents' lives, and my mom is still with me, and so I think though a lot of times it became get a safe, stable job and just make a good living like they did. So I didn't really learn a lot of that.
Mm, most of the people I wouldn't, I don't
Yeah,
think.
and a lot of people don't learn a lot of that at home. I mean, when I talk to entrepreneurs on my show who said, "Oh, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family," it was something I was always going to do.
Mhm.
Worked in their parents' business or saw up close and personal what the struggle was inside and out, day in, day out, and every day. They saw it and they realized that there were going to be hardships, but
Mhm.
the rewards far outweighed that.
Mhm. Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
So when you finally decided to embody the entrepreneurship identity and the entrepreneurial identity, um, what did you have to unlearn or learn to become the person that should actually that is capable of doing, uh,
Yeah,
the providing the results and being able to help others?
I think you have to learn to be unreasonable. And
Mm,
what I mean by that is a lot of people who are not in the entrepreneurial space, they do what's safe and they think that taking a risk is unreasonable.
mhm,
They think that taking a chance where you might lose all your money is unreasonable. But at the same
mhm.
time, if it does work, high risk, high reward.
Whew,
You have to be okay with taking a risk. You have to be okay with things not always working out exactly the way you think they're
yeah.
going to. In fact, it very often won't, but sometimes it works out even better. In fact, uh, one of the things that I learned this morning as I was listening to Think and Grow Rich is
Mhm.
sometimes you're going to hear no many, many, many times until you hear the yes that will change your life.
So true. So powerful.
And that is powerful. I
Whew,
wrote that down.
whew. Yeah,
In fact, I posted on Facebook this morning.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So amazing. So
Yeah.
amazing. And oh my God, yeah, yeah. Totally. Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
most people don't stick with the thing they want to accomplish
Yeah.
long enough to be able to eliminate all or find the all ways that won't work.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the
Right.
one of the, oh my gosh, this is just the biggest issue what I
Mm-hmm.
can see.
Yeah. In fact, it's interesting. The school system teaches us a little bit backwards because you're graded on how many things you get right. But in life and in entrepreneurship, you're going to be wrong a lot
Yeah.
before you hit yes. In fact, I would argue that you really only have to be yes once in your
Mhm,
whole life
mhm,
before
mm,
the thing that changes your life happens.
mhm, mm. Whew. So powerful. So, so, so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when you, because you mentioned that you went to basically be a caller, right, in your career.
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen? And how, like, you had to have already some type of, maybe it's just natural to you, maybe this is your superpower.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about this
Yeah.
because, like,
I was in the
become,
call center world quite a lot.
okay, okay. And how did you
Yeah.
start?
I mean, I worked in call centers quite a lot
Okay.
in college and well, in after college. And, the whole go get a real job came at me a lot from
Mhm.
people. But, I learned rejection. I learned how to talk
Mm.
to lots of different kinds
So
of
important.
people.
So important.
Yeah, so important, so important. And you learn where people's hot buttons are. In fact,
Mhm.
one time I had a client that I was talking to. He wasn't a client yet, but one of the things that he talked about was how he loved earning points on his credit card. And he
Mhm.
was going to think about it. And I said, well, you know what? If you decide to do this today and you pay up front, you get to earn all of your Amex points right now. He says, okay, let's do it. That's what sold the deal. If you
Yeah.
people will tell you how to sell them if you
Woo.
listen.
So good. Oh my gosh. So
This
many
guy
people
we
missing
talked
this.
about we talked about how he loved earning his Amex points.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, you can earn all your Amex points right now if you just pay in full and let's get going. Okay. And we
Wow.
had a great book together. He had a really, really great book.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Oh my God. This is, oh, this is just so amazing, like, and the way you bring it, it's really like, it's so crucial to understand, like, because most people take it from the wrong side, like, because they think that selling is actually like, pushing, kind of like,
Yeah.
being this annoying person that is keeps you, that try to take your money.
Hmm.
And this is so wrong, because, and probably those they do that, they don't know how to do it, they don't know how to sell, I would say. So tell me, like, where did you start actually? Because I think this is one of the really, really important things, like, or pieces of business, um, to be actually be able to make money and be successful in business. Because if you, like, there are three things that are really important in business, and that's traffic, sales conversion process, and offer. Those three things are basically essential for making business work, right? And all, of course, there is the whole piece of mindset, right? Which is before even that. So tell me more about, like, how did you learn and how did you become the person that can, like, basically persuade people so easily on the calls? Have you been training, or I don't know? Tell me more about that.
Well, I loved reading Zig Ziglar's Secrets to Closing the Sale. I
Mm,
read Tom Hopkins' book on selling,
mm-hmm.
but sales is something you do for someone, not to them. And I think when you make that pivot in your mindset, it changes a lot. You're doing something for someone, not to them, because people smell that a mile
Whew.
away. And nowadays, when I talk to people about the thing that I'm doing and we get toward the end, I'll ask them straight up, is this something you feel comfortable doing yourself, or is this something you would like my help with? And
Mm-hmm.
if they say this is something I want your help with, the sale is done because
Ooh.
now they've told me they want to
Oh,
hire me.
good. Wow.
Now, if they say they want to do it themselves, there are still ways I can support them. I can coach them, or I can offer to just edit and publish it on Amazon for them, their book.
Mm-hmm.
But I will join someone's journey wherever they want me to. If they want me to be their ghostwriter, I will do that. If they prefer to write it themselves, I will coach them through writing the book. If they're still okay with doing that all themselves, then I'll offer to be their editor and their publisher instead. And
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten a lot more deals doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Having more than one offer is a really great idea because if you try to go for the home run all the time, you're not going to hit a home run very often, but you need to have multiple offers, like lower scale levels of your offer. Some people will hit the home run with you. Some people prefer to hit a double. Some people will prefer to bunt single their way on base. And if you get a lot of singles and doubles, you're still going to score a lot of runs.
Yeah, totally. Wow, wow, wow. How sales actually change your life?
Oh my gosh, everything is selling.
Ooh.
Everything is selling. What do you want to do? What do you want to do for dinner? Well, how about we go either here or here? Which do you like better?
Mm. Seems to me like sell or be sold.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so amazing.
Exactly. And if the person you're with says, where would you like to where do you want to eat dinner? And you just say, well, guess. Are we going to Outback Steakhouse? Yes, we are.
That's amazing.
The first thing they say is probably the thing they really want to do.
So good. Wow. Okay. That's super powerful.
Hmm.
So tell me, like, how did you from so you basically get into being color? How did you get into being like being able to interview so many other people, highly successful, write book, and like start writing books? How where was the shift from that to actually become a writer?
To being what? I'm sorry.
Between being like when you being a caller, being
Uh-huh.
in there, and how did you get to shift your focus into become a writer?
A
Because this
writer.
is
Okay.
yeah, this is
So
like yeah, go
when I
ahead.
was teaching,
Mm-hmm.
one of the classes I taught was English composition.
Mm-hmm.
I also taught public speaking. So both of those are around the idea of helping people communicate their message. One is in writing and one is not.
Mm-hmm.
And then I taught English composition too, which was basically helping the students write a research paper. So we met 4 nights a week for 6 weeks. And so the whole course was devoted toward putting one research project together.
Mm-hmm.
If if I can help college students write a research paper, I can help people write their entire book
Right.
because that's just the next step.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I started doing it. Now, before I had any clients, I would just start telling people this is what I do. And thankfully, no one asked me for a sample of my work yet. But I said, this is what I do. And it took several months for someone to finally trust me and say yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I just kept saying it. I just kept declaring it to the universe. I help people write their books.
Mm-hmm.
I help people write their books. And I would tell everyone. And once one person said yes, the next person said yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a while, people started wanting to see samples of my work. And now I was prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
But you
Right.
just declare this is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
If you make a declaration to the universe and you start telling people this is what I do, people will start to remember, oh, this is the guy that can do that.
Yeah, yeah. So good.
Mhm.
And how did you get into like, interviewing and being able to like talk to so many amazing people, like and so high performers? Like
Yeah.
how did you get into that and what was the vision actually
Yeah.
for doing that?
At, at first, I was introduced to people,
Mm-hmm.
which helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I went to live events.
Mm-hmm.
And so the people who were on stage at these events, those are the people I generally invited to be on my show.
Mm-hmm.
And then about a year and a half into it, PR agencies started reaching out to me saying, "Would you like to interview such and such on my show?" In fact, the very first high profile guest I had was uh, Bob Burg.
Mm-hmm.
He had just written The Go Giver.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Yes, please. I'd love to interview Bob Burg." In fact, this was, I think, in 2014, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I interviewed him later that same year because he had another book called Allies to Adversaries, or Adversaries to Allies.
Mm-hmm.
So how to turn your enemies into your friends in business. So that was a good experience too. And so then you get testimonials from these people and you put them on your
Mm-hmm.
website. In fact, I know that one of the reasons why Jack Canfield agreed to be on my show is because I shared my testimonial page from my website to his team, and they could see that I had interviewed Jeffrey Gitomer and
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Harrington and a bunch of other people. And on the show, Jack Canfield said, "You've interviewed a bunch of my friends," and I very confidently said, "Yes, I have."
Mm. That's awesome. Yeah, it's like, using this type of I I love Russell Brunson's book, Expert Secret, where he's talking about how you can use a or how you're going to turn spark into flavor into
Mm-hmm.
a fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or flame. So basically, he said by interviewing others, being seen with other people who are high authority, and that way you're going to gain the expertise in the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be really intentional who you are coming for, right? And who you want to be seen, who you want to connect with, because pretty much the entrepreneurship is more like a relationship building a uh, type of thing. So was that your you know experience also when you've been
It
building the
evolved into that.
mm-hmm,
I was inspired by somebody else who interviewed a lot of top achievers, and I thought, well, if he can do this, so can I.
mm-hmm.
And that's really where it starts. You see someone else who's doing the thing you want to do, and then you figure out how they did it, and then you do it too, and you put your own flavor to it.
Ooh, yeah, yeah, so true, so good.
Yeah.
And so what do you believe now that you would never believe like 5 years ago that it was even possible for you now when you are in the entrepreneurship?
I am thinking so much bigger now than I used to.
Mm-hmm,
In fact, I had somebody who was coaching me probably a decade ago, and he said, "Brian, you were sitting on a $5 million a year business." And I didn't believe him. I'm still not there yet, but I can be.
mm-hmm,
And now I'm formulating ways to have that happen.
mm-hmm.
It's going to happen,
Totally.
but
There's
now I believe it.
sure.
And
Yeah.
that's the key.
So yeah, let's go a little bit deeper on that belief aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say that about everything what we have at this moment or what we do, is this everything something to do in or with what we how we see ourselves and what we believe in?
Yeah, I think so. Here's an analogy that I love sharing with people.
Mm-hmm.
Life is like a jigsaw puzzle. You just don't get to see the box first.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know what the final picture is supposed to look like, and your whole life is wondering what is this going to turn out to be? What am I going to be? What am I going to do? Where is this going? Why is this happening? You're given a puzzle piece or two at a time. And the
Mm-hmm.
two pieces that you're given may not even fit with each other. One of them might go on this side of the puzzle, one of them might go all the way over here. Nothing to do with each other
Mm-hmm.
yet.
Yeah.
And so as you move through your journey, you're gradually given more pieces. And finally, some of the pieces start going together.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're getting an idea of what the picture on the box might look like. But the faster you take action, the faster those puzzle pieces come to you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get an idea of what that box is supposed to look like, what your final vision is supposed to look like, don't you run faster toward it? Of
Mm-hmm.
course you do. If you see light at the end of the tunnel, you run faster toward it.
Yeah.
So the thing that you start with isn't necessarily the thing you're going to end with,
Mm-hmm.
but your journey has been perfectly planned just for you.
Mm-hmm.
So don't compare your journey to someone else's. Your box isn't going to look the same as someone else's box. It's not, but life is like a jigsaw puzzle. You don't know what the box is supposed to look like.
Mm-hmm.
You're not given the box. You're
Mm-hmm.
just given a few pieces at a time, and it's your job to figure out how to put them together.
Mm-hmm. How would you help or what would you recommend to somebody who is trying to figure out this whole mindset game and business game, like where they should put their focus on when they are starting out?
I would say be with people on a regular basis who are on your journey with you.
Mm,
In fact, I had a guest on my radio show a long time ago, and his final thought was have a conversation with someone who inspires you every single day. And so I try to do that.
mm,
And you should have people that you look up to who have been where you want to go. You should have people in your peer group that you're running with together. And then
mm,
you should have some people that you're trying to help and lift up
mm.
and give a hand
That's
up to. Not a hand out, but a hand up to. So you need people in all three of those spaces:
who.
coaches, peers, and people you're trying to help.
Mhm. That's
And
over.
it's not that you're not looking down on the people you're helping because you were there too,
Mm,
but pour into people who you see greatness in.
mhm. That's so powerful. I'm just taking note about this because this is
Yeah.
so good. I've been thinking about this actually. That you have a people that you want to, like, they are basically inspiring you all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you want to become as them, right? Then you
Mm-hmm.
have a people that you are collaborating between, like, next to each other, growing your business and helping each other figure out things on that level. And then you have
Mm-hmm.
people that are under you and you are helping them to become, basically, because for them you are the person who are trying, the
Right.
person that you are looking at. Yeah, so good. That's so good. Love it. That's really cool. And so, where you are actually heading with like, what is your vision into the future? That where are you actually going, and what you are going, like, what are you going for? What is your
Wow.
goal?
I want to build my magazine empire so that I have more readers and a
Mm,
lot more advertisers. I want to build a national brand. I want to write books with a lot more people and potentially have a team of people to help me do that
mm,
and keep doing my radio show and reach a much broader audience. And I would like to expand into other types of media too. But I, I see myself continuing to
mm,
inspire more and more people all the time. And that's really what I want to do.
mm,
I feel like I've had a really good day when I can help someone who's been inspired by something I've said or done
mm,
because that's paying it forward.
mm. So, how that would actually, you know, what that would mean to you, like, to have this type of thing in your life, being able to help more people, being able to be seen with other people, what that would mean in your life and for
Well, it
you.
means everything because I've had people who have poured like that into my life
Mm-hmm.
when I was getting started or didn't believe in myself fully the way that I do now or and am continuing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can inspire people on their journey, then yeah, that means a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's no better thing. Like I said, legacy, leave people in a better place than you found them.
Yeah, yeah. So so powerful. It's, to me, also, like, when I'm seeing this type of things, like where I'm, like, visioning myself and everything, the movement that is going on. You know, it's a lot of to do with the legacy and what I want to also, like, how I want to leave the world when I'm, when the times comes, and how my kids going to see me and what I can do for them and being present for them all the way, because that's what I've been lacking when I was kid.
Right.
Because my parents, they've been working super hard all the time, two jobs, three jobs, you know, a day to just get enough money. And um, so this is the whole vision. Do you have something that drives you same way also into that future, and being able to, like, just be, I don't know, like, this stuff, this type of legacy that you want to leave behind you?
Yeah. I think everyone wants to be remembered for something positive.
Mm. Yeah, so good. Yeah, super cool, amazing. So, well, I have pretty much. I think we are like good to go
Yeah.
now. Before I let you go, I have a one last question, because,
Sure.
and thank you so I'll really thank you so much for sharing, being here, because this is so powerful and so amazing. Um, and but the last question would be, what would you, if this interview would be the last that you would ever done, what would be the message that you would like to leave behind you for others?
That's a really great question. I think, I mean, you have one life. Don't waste it doing something you don't want to do. Follow your dream. Don't follow someone else's. If you don't have a major definite purpose in your life, you will live helping other people build theirs.
Yeah, yeah. So good. So good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for being here. Where people
You're
can
welcome.
find you, support
Uh,
you. Yeah.
that's a great question. I'm on all the socials. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on X. And my website is briankWright.com.
Amazing. Perfect. Thank you so much again. And for everybody who's listening, if this stirs something in you, don't ignore it. Share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe, leave a review, and remember, you weren't born to follow the script, you weren't born to be free. Bye, everybody.